Okay, so we are deadlifting today, and we're gonna um, teach you how to deadlift sumo and conventional. So first, we're gonna start with conventional, just because you don't feel like doing sumo right now. So pretty much what you're gonna do. You are going to start with your feet about, I would say, shoulder width apart. Um, and instead of just like bending over with your legs straight and pulling it up like that, that is terrible. Never do that. So what you're wanting to do, you're going to want to pretty much like get your shins close enough so then when you bend your knees down a little bit, they're going to touch. So you want them to touch it when you push your knees forward about like an inch. So you want inch or two away from the bar. Okay, so then after you've gotten your kind of stance, you're going to keep your chest up, back completely flat. You don't want any arch like this in your back. You just want a straight back, and you're going to hinge your butt back like this, just putting your hips back pretty much. You're not bending your knees or anything. You're shifting your hips back. So once you shift your hips back, you're going to keep your chest up, facing straight forward, and you're going to slowly go down to the bars. You can bend your knees, and you're going to find that bar position. So right now, my butt is still high, so I'm going to sink into the bar, and as I'm sinking into the bar, I'm going to pull the slack out of the bar. And so the slack is, so when you pull on the bar, you're going to hear that little click. So when you get that click, you are just pulling that click out and shooting your hips down and forward while keeping your back straight. You don't want to have any roundness in your back at all, because that is what is going to hurt your back. So you're going to go into that, shoot your hips, sit back almost, and so you can do that to pull out the slack, or there's other techniques to pull out the slack, such as going down and pulling your shoulders back like you're trying to pinch something in between your shoulder blades. It's going to be like that. So you're going to go down, going to pinch, and so once you have that pinch in your shoulders, it should lift off the ground like a centimeter or two. So once you get the bar off of the ground and like inch or two above the ground, you're going to push the ground away from you. That's what you're going to think of. You're not pulling the bar up, you're pushing the ground away from you and shifting your hips forward. So because the deadlift is a hinge movement, you are going to also, so once you pull that slack out of the bar, you want to have your knees press up against your arms. So your arms should be close enough to your stance to where you can press your legs to your arms a bit. You don't want too much press, but you want a good solid press against your forearms, and that's when you push. You're pushing the ground away from you. And so once you have it up, you're going to want to lock out. So a lot of people get stuck like right about here, and they can't seem to lock it out. So with your shoulders if you originally did the slack pull by keeping your shoulders back and your lats together, you can keep that with your chest up, and all you're doing is just moving the bar. You're almost humping the bar. You're just going to press the bar forward with your hips. You don't want to go too much because that's what will also hurt your back. But you're just going to get a solid up, chest up, and then slow down. And right at the end of that, kind of thing, you can go down, 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 and drop it. I wouldn't recommend dropping it though, especially if you're doing heavier weights. You want to control the weight all the way down. You don't want to hurt the gym equipment or something. I don't know. It's not my problem because I'm at home. I can do whatever to my weights. So that is how you're going to pull conventional. And there's going to be different angles. So to pull sumo, you're going to widen up your stance. I know my bar is not the greatest for this because it's kind of a smaller. It's not meant for this, but it's fine. It's an at-home gym. It doesn't matter. So with sumo, you're going to have your arms, whatever grip, I'll go over grips in a little bit. You're gonna have your arms pointed straight down, your fingertips pointing at the bar. So with sumo, instead of moving everything down and bending your knees and stuff to get in position, you are going to you're going to keep your knees locked out. And when you go down, you're going to shoot your hips back while bringing your chest kind of not forward, but you're bringing your chest down to the bar. It's okay if you arch a little bit, try not to. If you're not flexible enough, it's fine. And then, so once you're in this kind of over the bar kind of position, you're going to bring your knees, and your knees are going to come out in the direction of your feet. So you want your feet angled pretty nicely to the angle of where your knees are going to go, because you don't want to mess up your knees doing sumo, because this will mess up your knees. So you are going to shoot your hips into the bar. You want your hips to be into that bar. And so when you shoot your hips into the bar, you're going to simultaneously pull the slack out. Just a little bit. You don't want too much slack pull, just a little bit of slack pull. So once you get that slack pull, you want to have your back still straight. You don't want arch at all. You don't want anything bad. You just want straight back, and that's it. So once you have that straight back, you already have your hand placement, everything. So you're in, shot your hips into the bar, got the slack pulled. Okay, so it's going to be the same thing as a conventional deadlift, and you're going to push the ground away from you. You're not pulling it, you're pushing the ground away from you. And with sumo, you're gonna almost lean back and pull. You want the bar to be rubbing against your shins as you come up. It's going to come up like that. So you're going to just pull almost like you're sitting back. And your end position should be almost not leaned back, but just more so leaned back than usual. And so when you pull it up, pushing that ground away from you, keeping the shin to the bar, and then to lock out, you want to bring your shoulders back, not too much to where your back is arched, but just a good one. And then just slowly go down, keeping the bar on your shins. And there, that's how you sumo deadlift. So sumo deadlift is very technical. You don't want to mess up sumo deadlift because you will hurt something in your hips. Make sure, like, something will happen if you don't do it correctly. So that is why you got to do sumo with very good form. You can watch other videos. I'll probably have more videos of other people's demonstrations of sumo to show you just other examples of ways to pull sumo. So that is my way that I pull sumo. I feel it makes it lighter, and it feels good. Doesn't hurt my back. Everything should be good. So with the belt, what you're gonna do, if you have a belt, I would recommend having a belt, especially if you're deadlifting. Especially for heavier weights, you want a belt. So you're gonna place your belt where you think. Personally, I go a little bit higher up, just because, I don't know, if I have more of a arched back, almost, not arched, but like, I just have more of a rounded back during my deadlifts. And so I feel that when I have my belt, it needs to be a little bit higher. It feels better. It helps brace. And so what you're going to do, you're going to do whatever your belt does to clamp or whatever. And when your belt is tightened and on, you're going to make sure that there is enough space for one finger around the whole body. And that should allow, because you don't want it too tight and you don't want it too loose. You just want it to be one finger, be able to fit, and that should be able to get the best brace. So when you brace for deadlift, for squat, for whatever, you're going to breathe in, but instead of breathing into your lungs, you're going to breathe into your stomach. So usually when you breathe, right, you're going to breathe in and your chest is going to get massive. It's going to expand. Everything is going to expand. But you can feel how there's still that bit of kind of wiggle room in your belt. So when you brace, you're going to brace into your stomach, almost like when someone's punching you. You're going to want to have the most brace in your stomach so that when they punch you, it's not going to hurt. So that's what you're going to want to do. So you're going to brace into your stomach, and you shouldn't be able to put a finger into there. So that is the best explanation that I can do of bracing with your belt. And so when you brace for a deadlift, I would take one brace first, go down, and then you're going to do a second brace right when you pull that slack out. So right before you pull that slack out, you're breathing in to brace. You're going. And then, so then you should be fully braced by the time you pull that slack out. So it should look like this. And so I was fully braced right as that slack was fully pulled out. And so once you get that slack pulled out and you still have that brace, you're going to want to explode up, pushing the ground away from you, and make sure that the bar stays close or touching to your shins as possible. Because if you're too far from the thing, it will make a lot of room for injuries, and it will be a lot harder to pull heavier weights. So, I mean, you can try, but I would not recommend at all. I would never go this far and pull it out from there, because that is where injuries happen. That's when your back starts to bend. It's not good. So you're going to keep your close distance to the bar, down to the bar, and up. And so at the top, you can let out your brace. A lot of people do. I don't think it hurts to let out your brace, but I don't think you should let out your brace. It keeps a stable core, and it's just generally good to keep that stable core even at the top. And so you're going to go down. The down motion shouldn't be too fast, but not too slow, because if it's too slow, it can result in a little bit of back bendage. And that is where you end up like this, with a round back at the bottom. And you've gone too slow, so your back is strained with that weight. So that is my explanation of proper deadlift form for sumo and for conventional deadlift. And bar placement, you should like keep your shins closer. So grips, there's different grips. And so I'll move the camera closer so that you can see the different grips. Okay, so for different grips, I know you can't see me very well, but so here's your placement of your feet. It's going to be that close, but not too close, your shoulder distance. So for grips, what I like to do an over-under, which is when you have your dominant hand over the bar, like this, and then like a pull-up. And then your other hand is going to be like a chin-up, and it's going to be on the other side of the bar, so it should come in like this. Your dominant hand is going to come towards you, and your left or whatever non-dominant hand is going to come away from you. So you're going to want to get about like a thumb distance away from, so like you want like an inch from your shins. So your shins are touching the bar. You're going to want to put your fingers like this, and you're just going to want like scoot in just a little bit, and boom. Personally, I like to have a closer grip so I can get more of that leg kind of into my arms when I pull. But that is all preference. I would not go over here, because then it looks like you're going to, I don't even know, clean it or even jerk it. I don't know. You don't want to do this for deadlift. Deadlift is a closer grip. So there's three main grips. There is the over, and then there's hook grip. Hook grip is difficult. You are going to put your finger around, and then you're going to wrap your fingers over your thumb. And that should be good for gripping it and keeping a solid grip. But what I recommend, I feel the best with an over-under, and that is what I just explained. It's dominant and left dominant, or least dominant hand, and they're opposite of each other. And you're just going to pull, come down normally, whatever. So those are your three grips: over, over-under, hook grip. Everything is almost preference for those. It's not going to matter for those, whichever you do. Doesn't matter. Everyone's different. And so, yeah, it's not really something that everyone is going to do the same. Okay, so when you put it all together, you should put your belt on, right? This is lighter weight. You don't need a belt for lighter weight. You just have to maintain proper form and you'll be all right. So you are going to do the full thing. You're going to go down, get that nice kind of grip. Once you have that grip that you feel is right for you, you are going to shoot your hips into the bar and down to pull that slack out. So once that slack is pulled, about an inch off the ground, you're going to push up or push the ground away from you. Slow down. So the full thing should look like that. Or you can do the shoulder thing where you pull your shoulders back to pull out that slack. I feel it's harder to pull the slack out that way. But it's all preference. A lot of people do the shoulder blade thing, pulling their arms together. Either way works. It's whatever you feel is right. And then sumo, clamp your belt again, as shown. Good distance. So when you come down, you want your knees to be in the direction of your feet. So you can't see my feet now, but if my knees are going to push out this way, then that's how you want your feet. You're going to want your feet so then when you go down, your knees and your feet should be pretty much parallel, and so they're like this. Parallel, they're both shooting straight down. You're going to do that, you're going to do your thing, your over-under grip or whatever, and you're going to lean back. You're going to pull up. It's that simple. So for heavier lifts, you are going to do chalk up probably. It's best so the bar doesn't slip out once you get it in the locked out position. So your full deadlift sumo should look like this. You're going to go down, grab the bar. I wouldn't recommend too close, but I wouldn't recommend wide like you're conventionally pulling. You want smaller, closer grip than your conventional, and you don't want them to be together. You want them to be close though. So you have you're going to shoot your hips into the bar while sitting back almost. You're going to pull up, but only pull up once you have the slack out of the bar. You're going to down, same way. Bring your chest up, drag it across. See. So that should be it for deadlifting, sumo, and deadlifting conventional.